Hey everybody, it's Al with cad-cam Wizard, and today we're going to go from sketch to a drawing and even programming. So let's go ahead and take a look. A lot of times you might sketch something out on a piece of paper or a napkin, and when you're just getting started, this is a great way to get ideas down on paper, and that's what we're looking at here today. So I'm using Bob Art to bring the image in. I'm going to go ahead and hide the image for now. And my first step is really to draw a rectangle that represents the area that we want to work in. So we want a 12 by 4.5 inch shape. This is roughly what our final shape is going to be. So let's go ahead and get that drawn first. The next thing we're going to do is turn our image back on, right? And let's kind of just adjust this a little bit. So we're going to turn the transparency down, and then we're going to drag the image inside of our shape, something like this. We can zoom in a little bit. This way we can get the basic idea of what we're working with. Okay? Now from here, we can look at the elements. So we have the outside profile, we have some circles and stars, and then we have a date. Okay, so to create this profile here, right, we're going to use a spline. Just going to kind of click across. I'm going to make this a fit spline, and I want to turn my snap grid off. Just going to kind of trace along the edge here, something like that. Alright, that gets us that one. Then we're going to do another one here. Just going to kind of come on down and do something like that. Okay, so that gives us kind of the two edges, just a rough shape. Alright, now we want to draw two circles. So we're going to go arc and then circle, kind of get close to the center here, drag one out like that. After we have one of them, we'll do an offset, so this way we can create another shape. Sometimes you use the width of the cutter to create the profile, so we may actually only need one of them, but we might want this detail to stand out a little bit more, so we're going to make it a little bit wider. Now, as far as the stars, we have a shape library here, so we can come in and create the stars this way. So we'll kind of snap this into location, and then we'll adjust the size. Okay, so we get one there. Go ahead and put one here, and then we'll put one here. Alright, now the last thing we want to do is add a date. When you're dealing with text, there's two types of text. There's single line fonts, and then there's double line fonts. So in this case, I'm going to use a single line font, so I'm going to go to BobCAD. I'm just going to use the default one for now, and then we'll type out our date and time, and then we're going to adjust the size of this. Maybe something a little longer like this. Now, again, we got to think about the tool size that we're working with, so we'll get into that in just a moment. Alright, we're going to hide the image, so we're going to hit I, and then from here we're going to just trim up some of the shapes. Now this is supposed to be the state of Tennessee, so I'm probably going to improve this a little bit, but to just get something quick going, I think this will be alright. Let's go ahead and trim up this side over here. Let's make sure this one's connected. Let's make sure this one's connected. Let's make sure that one's connected. Alright, so that we went from our image, you know, to our geometry here. Now all of this is made up, this is splines, this is lines, and this is a font. But what we want to do now is get a job going, so we'll go into the CAM tree, we'll create a new job. Okay, we're going to make it a little bit bigger, so we'll say 13 by 5. I'm not sure of the thickness, but that's okay. And we'll say next. And then as far as our 0 position, it's going to be top center. And then we'll say okay. Alright, so now we got our stock set up and we have our geometry set up. Now, the next thing we got to look at is, you know, how to cut these things out. So it's being run on a small router, so we're going to look at 2-axis profiling. Alright, so we'll go to our 2-axis feature. We're going to just use a profile rough routine here. We're going to use 0625. Alright, we're going to set the speeds and feeds just very conservative, 20 and 15. Alright, so we're going to use a standard profile here. And with a standard profile, the tool will get offset for the shape and cut it around. So really on the standard profile, let's kind of next through this. Let's not leave any stock for finish. Right now the depth is set to 1/2 inch, so let's see here. We probably, this would be like, let's say this was the outside cut, which I'm kind of doing it out of order, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and finish. So for this one, if I select this outside shape, you know, the tool is going to end up being offset. So the tool is offset, it's offset to the wrong side, so I can reverse that. And this would cut around that profile. Now, for such a small tool, going so deep, that's probably not the best idea. But once I have this profile feature selected, you know, I can come in here and, or create it, I can come in here and, you know, select some other features. Let's adjust the depth to 125 here and compute that. You know, so this is going to end up profiling around, following the shapes, offset, okay? If we go to our fonts here, right, and we try to do the same thing, right, you're going to see how the tool is being offset over the edges. So, all right, let's kind of talk about the best ways to approach this. Now, these stars here, this indicates that we probably want to remove material from that. Okay, so that would be more like a pocket routine. In between these two areas here, if we wanted to remove the material from there, that would be more like a pocket routine. Here we can profile this, but a lot of times when you're trying to profile shapes, you're going to see that when there's intersections, it runs into problems. So we have an engraving routine for that. Okay, and then this outside shape we would just want to profile around. So let's go ahead and let's get rid of this feature for now, and let's decide to do the pocketing first. Okay, so we're going to come in, mill 2-axis, let's select what we want to pocket. So to select the chain, we have auto chaining in the version 36, so we can just select one of them at a time. We can select the boundaries that we want to work with. We can define how deep we want to go. Okay. From here, we can choose our pocket routine. This is going to be a wood material, so all right, we're going to go to, let's say, an 1/8 inch cutter here. And again, we just want to make sure that we're cutting very conservatively. Okay, so something like that. Standard offset pocket is fine. We are going to drop the step over down. We're going to make it 30%. Let's see, no stock for finish. We're going to 080 for our depth. and let's go ahead and compute. Okay, so this is going to come in here and it's going to pocket this material. Now you'll notice with the star, you're cutting with a round tool, so it's not going to be able to get all the way up in there. You know, the tool's not going to fit up in this section. So we have to decide whether we want to choose that as a pocket or if that would be better to just cut it as a profile. When you cut it as a profile, it's going to have a round tool or a round corner. The other option might be to V-carve it using a V tool, okay? So we got to decide how we want to do that, but for now, I'm okay with that. Maybe let's update our geometry and actually just remove the stars, okay? So we're going to remove the stars and just cut this ring as a pocket, okay? Now what we want to do is maybe a profile routine, okay? So we'll do mill to axis. We're going to select the stars again. The goal here is to use a single tool because we don't have a tool changer, so we just want to use one tool. Alright, we'll use the same 125. We're going to use the same speed, so this is 20, I think I'm saying 15. But in this case, I don't want the tool to offset. I just want it to run on center, so I'm going to turn my comp off here. Okay. I don't want to leave any stock for finish. And let's go ahead and compute that one. So now the tool's going to cut on center to follow those shapes. Now, using the same tool, I want to do this engraving over here. Okay, so we're going to load another feature. This one's going to be mill to axis. We'll select our geometry here. We're going to use the same depth. The strategy, we're going to remove these, and it's going to be an engraving strategy. Alright, so we got the same tool. We're going to do 20 and 10 or 20 and 15, that's fine. We have our depth set, okay. Alright, now what we probably are going to need to do is either make the text bigger or adjust it, and we'll look at that in just a second. Now the last thing we want to do is profile around the outside, so we're going to take this profile, and instead of creating a new one, we're going to just copy, and then we'll paste it down here, okay, and then from here we can select our profile. This one we're going to tell it the thickness of the material, so I'm going to say we're just working with a 1/2 inch, so we'll say 0.5. From there we want to make sure it's cutting in a clockwise direction, okay. This arrow is indicating where it's starting. We'll go ahead and compute that. Okay, so we can see right now it's doing this at a single depth. To rotate, this is pressing and holding the center mouse wheel. So I want to take multiple passes to get down to the bottom. So we're going to just adjust our parameters here. We're going to go to multiple steps. We're going to set it to the same 80. I guess we can use minimize retract so that the tool doesn't go to clearance between each pass, and compute. Alright, so that has all the passes to run around it. So we're looking at the toolpath. What we want to do is see what the simulation looks like, so we'll run the simulation. Actually, let me close this for a second. I'm going to adjust the stock thickness because I think I have it set to 1. So I'm just going to go back over to stock here. We're going to make this 0.5. Okay, we'll launch the simulation again. Alright, so from here we're going to just play this through. The red has to do with a setting because I have a machine simulation, so it's seeing the machine. Alright, you can see it's cutting around. So even though the green toolpath that we displayed looked good, when we actually get in here and see the simulation, you can see that, you know, by profiling this, we have material left in the center for the star, so we would either want to use a smaller tool or consider a different step there. And then the other thing that we notice too is based on our cutter and our font, you know, our text isn't coming out as good as it could. Okay, so there's some adjustments that we want to do. So let's go ahead and close this out. And the first thing I'm going to do with the text, let's turn the stock off, is I'm going to come back and adjust the text. So because it's still text, I can select it. Okay, double click, and this allows me to edit it. A couple of things that I'm going to do is, you know, make the text a little bit bigger. Let's make it something like this. And then I also have this extra spacing. So what this will do is allow me to space the letters out more. So this way, when the tool follows the shape, they don't collide with each other. Okay, let's make it 3-3. Okay, that looks better. So that handles that. Now, let's try the stars with the pocket. So we have our engraving here. I need to update this because I changed the geometry. So I'm just going to right click on the operation and choose update, and then I'm going to right click on the feature and choose update, and then right click on the operation and recompute. Okay, so that's that one. This one here, this is the profile. I'm going to turn that one off, so I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm just going to turn it off, and that's with the posting icon here, and then I'll blank it out. And then this one here is the pocket. So what I'm going to do is reselect, and then I just want to add these stars to it, and then we're going to go ahead and recompute. Okay, so that gives us that example, and then let's run it through simulation again and take a look. Alright, we'll go ahead and play it through. So now we can see the 3 stars, the circle, and our text. Okay, so our text looks a little bit better. You know, we do have the option to consider a smaller tool size, you know. If we use a smaller tool size based on the size of the geometry here, that could help. So let's take a look at how to do that. So what I'm going to do is get into the operations tab. Okay, this lays out all the operations that we've created here, and then I can go to the tool tab, and this is going to show the tool that I'm using and all the operations that are associated with it. So if I want to come in here and edit the tool for all of those operations, I can come in and edit here, change the tool size, and then now I've updated the tool size for all of those operations. You see that they scrub dirty, which basically means that we need to recompute them. So I could recompute them one by one over here, or I can just jump back into the cam tree and I can choose compute all, wherever it may be. Let me see, compute all toolpath. Alright, so then that updates it. From here we can simulate. Now I don't really recommend using such a small tool to cut out the profile, so we may choose to use a separate cutter in order to finish the profile. Normally when you're first getting started, I recommend using a single tool, because that way you don't have to worry about tool changes, so it does make it a little bit easier. So you can see by dropping down the tool size, we get a better looking result here. And yeah, just a quick video of going from an idea into some toolpath. Let's go ahead and turn off this outside profile. So that means it would just cut the inside routines. And what we're going to do, the last step here is going to be to post the program. Okay, so right now, let's see here. This one I'm going to get rid of, so I just select it and delete. This one I have turned off. So this is the pocket routine, this is the engraving, and this is the outside profile. What we're going to do is post these 2 routines first, and then after we run them, we can post this routine separately to allow us to do the tool change. From here, we would just post our program, and this is going to write all the code. Now, the code that we're going to generate is going to be based on the machine setup. There's a bunch that come with whatever software you're using. You want to match it up with the one that is with your machine. Let's see, the one that's compatible with your machine. I'm going to use this Gerbil. Gerbil is a generic post, generic code format. And this absolute inches 17. Sometimes they want these additional codes, sometimes they don't. But this would be the program that we would run on the machine. So what we would do from here is save this to our desktop, and then the next step would be to load that program in the control software. Okay. Okay, so I'm over here in GSender. GSender is a free control software, and it's compatible with a lot of the lower cost desktop CNC routers, and there's UGS, there's Candle, there's a few of them that are out there, but I like this one. I find it to be pretty easy to use. So what I've done is I've loaded the program, and you can see the program is being displayed over in the display window here. Okay, so before we can run this program, we're going to use these jog handles here to jog the machine into position. So because we're cutting top center, all we got to do is jog to the center of our work. We're going to jog down in Z until the tool just touches off on the top of the material. Okay, once we get it in its 0 position, we're going to click 0, 0, and 0. All right, and then that's it. It's zeroed. We'll jog the tool up in Z, so it's up out of the way, and then from there we'll run the program. So we'll just hit start job, and then the machine's going to start moving and start running that job. I guess I could run it a little bit more. I don't know, it might be outside of the travel of my machine, so I'm just going to stop it there. But yep, that's the process from idea to toolpath. You get your code, then you load it into the control, you zero the job, and run the program. If you guys have any questions, comments, or feedback, just reply back to this video. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.